This is George Dionne for KNAC.com, and I'm here with Mark Zonder, drummer and founder of the band A to Z. How you been?
Good, real good, actually. It's been a year and a half or whatever it's been putting this together and doing it. And, besides COVID and every other thing that, came into play, it's kind of been smooth. It's interesting, 5 guys in 5 different countries. Well, me and Philip are both in the United States, but, it's been interesting. It's good. It's good. I can't complain. The thing that came out of it is we definitely have a magic, and that's kind of the most important, the logistics we can deal with. But everything's good.
Awesome. Well, let's talk all about it.
Excellent.
If I knew absolutely nothing about A to Z, how would you describe the band's music to me?
Describing the music, I would say commercial hard rock for the masses. Big catchy hooks, great players, taking some chances, but not going over the top. By the way, did you need this in like 10 words or something, or can I just keep going? Okay, I wasn't sure if this was one of those fill in the blanks. When I put it together, my whole thought was car commercial, beer commercials, and Cobra Kai. Obviously, I've been doing this a long time, and as much as critical acclaim is great, just looked at it more from a business. Plus, to be honest with you, this is the music that I truly love. If you looked at my music, that's what you would see. You wouldn't see progressive bands. I mean, you'd see some, but you would see commercial hard rock bands. I love the song. I love the hook. I love the chorus. That's what it's all about to me. That's the way I was raised, and that's what's always in me. So I would say, commercial hard rock for the masses that is played, by excellent musicians.
Absolutely. And that's kind of one of the reasons I love this album, is because it's a big commercial rock album. That's kind of the stuff I like, the big production, the big sound, everything's great, and stuff like that. How did you bring the principal players together for this band?
Well, I did the same kind of thing, I don't know how many years ago it was, with my band Slave Year. It's the concept that starts with, I sit here all day and record. I do a lot of recording for other people, but I also just record for myself, come up with all these kind of crazy grooves and just play and record and record. And I always thought it was easier to start songs when someone would write to that than me trying to shove this very intricate thing into their music. I spent a lot of years doing that and trying to do that. And it's a lot easier when you come from this side and then adapt it and change it. But I contacted Matt Guillory, who's a keyboard player. And I contacted him because he kind of travels in the same circles that I do, kind of, sort of. But he says he was busy, and which probably this day and age transfers that there's no money, So, and I get it. I get it. I mean, I get it. I totally get it. I do the same thing every day when people call me. But anyways, so he turned me on to Vivian Leloup, who honestly I've never heard of. But then again, like we said earlier, I'm listening to Journey, Styx, Foreigner, the Stylistics, whatever. I'm not looking at all the new prog bands and stuff like that. I talked to Viv. I sent him a couple of my drum track ideas, and he came back with stuff. And I just knew right then, it was like, okay, this guy gets it. And what was really cool is, obviously I've dealt with a lot of guitar players. With a keyboard player, composer guy, he's looking at it a little differently. And I thought that's where the magic, instead of just like, hey, power chords. And I'm not going to say the guitar is limited, but it's kind of limited compared to a keyboard player at times from the sound. Plus Viv, prides himself as an actual composer, not just a rock kind of guy or anything like that. So it got really serious really quick. And I just knew, because, I've done this so long and had people send me stuff back, and I'm like, man, I really don't get it. It's not what I'm looking for. When he did, I knew right off the bat, it's like, damn, this is going where we want it to go.
So Ray wasn't your first pick for vocalist, correct?
Well, my first pick would have been Steve Walsh or Steve Perry, but considering that they were a little busy and there's no money, no. It's not that he wasn't my first choice. But it's kind of a little bit of a delicate situation. And, I haven't been with the band for a long time. I didn't want to step on anybody's toes. I wasn't sure what Ray was doing or what he wasn't doing. I've known Ray for a long time. We used to hang out all the time in LA when we both lived here. And, so he's more than just, hey, a guy in the band that you play with. But it got to that point where I was checking out big name guys, little name guys, and just nobody got it. It was brutal. I was just so obvious. Like I said, you know, beer commercial, car commercial, Cobra Kai. If it doesn't sound like Jane, don't send it back. Okay. You know, just don't. It was kind of frustrating. And I just said one day, I said, man, I don't know what they're doing. It's not my business. I just called them. I just called them up, started talking to them. Hey, what's going on? Blah, 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 blah. Okay, send me something. And again, the first song I ever sent him was the first song that we worked on was Rise Again. And when he sent it back again, I just fell off the chair, you know, but I knew Ray had this commercial rock, arena rock kind of thing in him because, I mean, that's what we listened to on the bus. And also we talked about how when he was younger, that's what his parents would play. You know, he's younger than I am, but it was that same generation of those kind of commercial hard rock acts, or basically back then it was the radio, you know, and it was those bands. You know, his favorite singer is Steve Perry. And, you know, not a lot of people, if you listen to Fates Warning, you wouldn't necessarily assume that. But, you know, that's a different band with a different style. And no, it was great. And the most amazing thing about Ray on this record is we spent a lot of time writing music. We spent a lot of time setting it up for vocals, you know, verses and choruses. Okay, we're not doing 9-minute songs. Okay, commercial, here we go. You pull out all the pop tricks, you know what I mean? Produce it like a pop album. And we gave it to him, and the stuff he sent back was just mind blowing. We didn't change a thing. There's not one thing that was ever changed that he sent back. And it was just, it was amazing. You know, I think the key to it is I gave it to him and I said, do whatever you want. I'm not going to tell you anything. Just do whatever you want. And I think that might have been a new experience for him, or a little bit. And also this style of music, like he said, it's a little easier. You know, you're not getting, you know, bar count changes on you and different things like that. So, and he just went right with it. Like he said, you know, it's an arena rock album.
Absolutely. And you brought in Phil because you had worked with Phil in one of your previous bands, Warlord, correct?
Yeah, I mean, Philip, actually, I met Philip back in the Slave Year days. A good friend of mine, we were looking for a bass player, and he turned me on to Philip. I go to his website and I open it up, and here's this dude sitting there playing a cello, and I'm reading down the resume, like the Tonight Show, and I go, there's no way in hell this guy's playing with us. There's just no way. There's no way. Anyways, long story short, he's probably my best friend. He's probably one of the few people that I'd leave my kids, my car, and my checkbook with. He's just that guy. It's just a no-brainer. If you get me, you get him. That's just the way it is. When it comes to bass playing, I don't want to hear about it. It's just Philip. And then the other side of it is he's a complete monster. You know, one of the few guys that I've ever seen and had the pleasure of being in the company that can occupy half a stage in a big place all by himself without even moving. You know, and your eyes just go there. You know, no, he's great. So that was an automatic one. Viv had worked with Jupe for 20 years, the guitar player, and kind of brought him in. But the thing that's really cool about Viv too, though, is when we're writing parts, he's just not sitting tinkling away on a piano. He's got like these cool guitar sounds. So you'd think it was a guitar. I mean, half the time I thought it was like, oh, Jupe sounds really good. And he's like, oh, Mark, that was me, you know. But when we put these demos together that worked really well with the two of us, he was adding guitar. You know, we're actually, you know, example, we're working on album 2 right now, and he's sending me back tracks to these grooves. And I say, hey, you really kind of need that, you know, heavy guitar part. And he just sends it back, and it sounds like, you know, some guy plugged in a Marshall in his living room. So it works out good. And then Ray came in. Obviously, Ray was basically the last. But the other guy that he's not a member of the band, but going back to that arena rock sound, the 70s and 80s, I was looking for that really plush vocal sound. And that I think has been missing. I think it's a beautiful thing that, whether it's lack of talent, lack of time in the studio to really nail it, or just having the creative output for that. So I brought in my friend Robbie Wyckoff that I'd worked with for a long time. And I'm not sure if you're familiar with Robbie, but his last gig, he was out with Roger Waters doing The Wall. He sang background for everybody from Steely Dan to Diana Ross to Celine Dion. He's done all the Phineas and Ferb, the kids commercials and stuff. I mean, the songs in that. He's done a gazillion commercials. Just the ultimate unbelievable singer. And I was having a conversation with Phil Ahart, who's helped me through this whole process, because he's managed Kansas for 40 years, and I kind of needed some help. And he said all those bands back in the day, they wouldn't like have Steve Walsh sing 7 parts. They'd bring all these other dudes in to have that lush sound. And not that I wasn't aware of it, but it didn't hit me so much. So that's when it was nothing against Ray. And it wasn't like, oh, he can't do it. But when you bring in somebody else with a different idea and a different voice, and Robbie would send me back these takes that had 12 voices, you know, 2 high, 2 mid, 2 harmonies. And it was just fantastic. And I think that's really another thing that you can put on this that kind of separates it a little bit. Kind of just thinking of all the angles that we can get to really just make this the biggest and the best thing that it can possibly be.
The new album comes out on August 12th. It's self-titled through Metal Blade Records. Fantastic album. I'm not just kissing your butt. It's exactly what you've described it to be. One thing I have to mention is that you can't deny your drum work on this. I mean, right from the opening track, Trial by Fire, I'm like, holy crap, that is a really good drum beat. And it carries on throughout the whole album. And it's not a drum album per se, but you're definitely present and people can't ignore the sound you're providing there.
No, I appreciate that. The thing that I've always kind of prided myself in, if you look back and you'll see it all over the comments and stuff, is I kind of approach the drums from an orchestrated point of view, but always you need to have the groove. If you listen to Trial by Fire, I am literally with my right hand hitting something different on every play. Okay, it's on the cowbell to the rack number. Okay, but the kick and snare are always on 1, 2, 3, and 4. You can never miss it. It's there. That's what it's, and that's what I think that made me a little different in the prog world. Is I'd always try to get that. It had to have the groove. Someone had to lock into it. Okay, we have a bar of 5, which is kind of awkward. Well, I'm going to make it 2 bars of 5 and make it 10. So then it's an even number, and I can lock in a groove. There's another song, The Silence is Broken, the last song. Again, crazy stuff with the electronics when I'm playing it. And nothing on this record is sequenced, programmed, or any of that. It's all me playing it with the pads and my Yamaha thing. And it's all part of it because, you know, you take it out live, what are you going to do? So everything, and I'm not a big program fan anyways. If I can't play it, I'm not into it. But again, crazy stuff going on. Kick and snare, boom, bam, the whole time. That to me, you know, I used to say in my clinics all the time, what's the greatest drum riff of all time? It's 4 quarter notes on the kick. You know, everybody gets it. That'll get a concert audience up. My mom gets it. Does my mom get Dave Weckl? Does my mom get Dream Theater? I don't think so. As much as those are cool and great, again, it's to the masses. It's to that thing where everybody can go, yeah. You know, I was kind of tired of, well, Mark, we don't hear a single. Well, Mark, let me listen to it 4 or 5 times. Maybe it'll grow on me. If you don't have it by the second chorus, we didn't want to do it. You know, it had to have that kind of thing. And I think we've kind of produced a record that has 11 basic singles. Yes, Far Side of the Horizon and Window Panes. A little bit more edgy, a little bit more, you know, I mean, we stretched, we went 5 minutes. Okay, we, we blew out the stops, but no, it was all about, I always kind of looked at it as, you have 11 chances to hit a single. You have 11 chances to be popular. You have 11 chances to get the band going. And as we know, it takes one. All it really kind of takes is one to get it rolling. So why do one kind of quote commercial style song and then 10 really deep proggy songs? I mean, so that was the philosophy, just to get to the masses.
So you've got the first single out, The Machine Gunner now. What are you planning for future single releases?
Well, today, Trial by Fire was released.
Good. I'm glad you picked that one.
Oh, yeah. There's a plan behind it. And there's a plan on the third one that comes out when the album comes out. And that's the reason, too, the album is not, it's self-titled. I didn't want to put a name on it. If I would have put Killing Serpents and Snakes and Dragons, it would have formed something automatically. By the same token, the first song that came out with The Machine Gunner, I didn't want to do a kind of proggy song. Obviously, you can't come out with a ballady song. You don't do that. So what was the thought? Okay, Iron Maiden meets Van Halen, big chorus, in your face, 3 minutes and 33 seconds, and it's over. Great lead playing, just bang. So that was the first one, so people kind of know the band. Trial by Fire is basically your home run on this record, is what I'm thinking. I mean, it's your Separate Ways, it's your Jane, it's your anthem-y thing. I mean, we even pulled in the whole Earth, Wind, and Fire ending, you know? So I was just trying to pull out all the stops, you know? And again, Ray delivered an amazing chorus. And when Robbie's singing that background line of, you know, chains that bind you, you know, that the kind of question answer thing, that song right there, it's about as good as it's going to get, I think, to try to get to the masses, to try to get to a complete group. I don't think it's really going to alienate anybody. It has the big rock guitar intro. Like you said, you know, it's got the whole drum thing going on. So that comes out today. Hopefully, you know, it's this whole thing starts to snowball, hopefully. And the third single that's coming out is Stranded on August 12th. Thought it was kind of time to get into the ballady kind of power ballad. Plus, that's Ray's favorite song, so I had to kind of give it up to him on that one. I thought Rise Again would work well too. It's a ballady type. I thought we needed to get to that to show that there's more to the band and a little bit more musically, and that, you know, that it is really 11 individual songs that stand on their own. It's not like one song done 3 times at different tempos and, you know, and those kind of things. So those are the 3 singles. You know, hopefully they're singles 4, 5, and 6, but we kind of got to wait, kind of see what happens. You know, it's a little bit of a see what happens game.
Was it easy to get this deal with Metal Blade Records, where you worked with them in the past with Fate's Warning and Warlord?
They took my call. Let's just put it that way, you know. Yes. We shopped it everywhere. We had really horrible deals that would tie me up till I'm 97 years old. That obviously we weren't going to do. We actually had a very prominent label tell us that it was too commercial and too AOR, which I thought, oh, great. At least we know they get it. They're getting, you know. And that's the other thing really quickly, and I'll get back to that. It seems the interviews I'm doing, like yourself, you're getting it. It's not like, Mark, what are you doing? What is this? They get it. They get it. And that's probably one of the most satisfying points, is that what we're trying to do is getting treated the way, or looked at the way I wanted to. But no, got in contact with Metal Blade, did a little negotiation. I don't think they had any idea of what was coming or what wasn't coming or anything like that, you know. And I had to tell them, you know, 50 times, and I told everybody, it's not a project. This is a band, okay? Do bands change members? Maybe, but it's still a band. So it will continue. It's not a Mark was bored and he's going to do a one and done. Part of the reason of me coming off tour and everything is there'll be 16 next month. I have 16-year-old twins. You know, back 15, 16 years ago, I didn't think it was cool to be on the road, you know, and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've played a few shows over the years, but not like seriously going after something like we're going to go after this. But Metal Blade was great. You know, the thing that I knew about them is, besides being the great label and having the distribution, is that if I had a problem, I could call somebody. And we all know, and every band could tell you a million stories when they're dealing with labels, especially European labels that they don't have really good connections with or contact. And they could, you know, they get put in the washing machine, man, and never hear from them and be lost and just not being attention. You know, at least with Metal Blade, I know they'll either kind of give me the, you know, yes, no, or go to hell. You know, it won't be not calling me back for 6 weeks or something like that. And it was kind of a no-brainer. It's been 40 years or so, I think, since Metal Massacre 2 and Warlord showed up there. But no, it's a great place to be. And, you know, we're just really looking forward to see how this rolls out. You know, we know it's a tough business. There's no more $100,000 videos. There's no more big budgets. That's all gone. So it's a game of just trying to make it work with what you have. And they were great. You know, I called them up more than once, or email and calling up, same thing. And kind of said, hey, you know, we're looking to do this. We need a couple more dollars. And they were totally cool. You know, they understood when I went in and I wanted Hugh Syme to do the album cover, because again, the whole thought and process was, you know, bigger, stronger, faster. I didn't want to come out as like, oh yeah, that band's kind of cute. You know, maybe the second record will sound better, or they'll be able to get a budget. I put my money where my mouth was. I was going to make this happen. I knew what it had to look like, and I knew what it had to sound like. You know, I've been around long enough to know, and I've heard it 100 times, wow, the production's really not that good. That's not what I wanted to hear. That was not it. So took the time and the energy and the effort to make sure all those things were covered. But Metal Blade was great. Hugh Syme did all the packaging, all the vinyl, all the artwork. And I think that's really important. I really want to get across that we do this for the fans in the respect of it. It's a business, okay? If I'm coming to you and I want you to put your money down, it better be a pretty good steak sandwich. It just can't be hamburger. You know what I mean? So I, again, put my money where my mouth was, went the extra mile. You're supposed to do one video. We did 3, called in a whole lot of favors, called in a lot of stuff. And, but, very happy where we're at.
To that extent, you mentioned European labels, and I noticed that Simone Mulroney mixed this, and he's a Frontiers guy, and you've worked on a bunch of Frontiers project, and this sounds a little bit like it could be on Frontiers. Was that not a possibility with this album, or Metal Blade just had the better presentation for you?
Yes. I like to pride myself sometimes as a business person, and what you mentioned, I've done things for them. I've never been like, it hasn't been my band per se. I played with Graham Bonnet. I was the drummer. The whole Spirits of Fire thing. Okay, cool. You get an idea how people operate. You get an idea. Just wasn't for us. Like my wife, who's a divorce attorney, says, it just wasn't a match. It just wasn't a match. I appreciate them taking the time, but the Metal Blade, it was a no-brainer at the end of the day. We weren't sitting there at the end going, I don't know, they're really close. No. And then the familiarity factor, with the whole Metal Blade thing. And, like I've always said, in this business, everybody likes to talk, and there's all these great stories. The bottom line, Brian Slagle and Tracy and everybody is, in my experience of 40 years, have never been anything but completely straight up. Not a penny out of place, not a slight, not anything. Just it's pro, and you always want to work with professional people.
Are you going to be able to tour? I mean, everybody's got busy schedules, and everybody seems to be touring now. It's
not the band that has the problem. It's the fact that right now in 2022, and we're out looking. I work with a gentleman named Giles Lavery from the management point of view, and he's out, doing his thing. And basically 2022, you've got all the bands that got stockpiled from 2021. So we're looking at we're looking at anything and everything, but we're looking at 2023, done a lot of interviews with the major European magazines that have the festivals that are already talking about it. So no, absolutely. Again, we'll field the band. That's not a problem. It's more about how it goes. If the record comes out in stiffs, well, there might not be a lot to talk about. If the record does well, you kind of move to the head of a line sometimes. It's just supply and demand. So that's kind of where we're at. But oh no, absolutely. This is kind of going back to that 70s and 80s. You do the record, you do the interviews, you do the videos, then you go out and tour. I mean, we'd play tomorrow if there was a possibility. It's just really tough with the whole COVID thing, and now you got COVID coming supposedly back in or whatever, and there's problems, and it seems like everybody's kind of just trudging through it though. It doesn't seem like anything at this point has been shut down per se, but no, we're looking ahead and getting things on the books. You have to do that. These aren't the days of, I remember back, with Fates Warning, we'd do a record and like 3 weeks later we'd be on the road, and that's not happening anymore. That's just not, it's a different business.
Yeah.
But no, absolutely. That's the next main focus. Even if we do something, let's just say we go to Greece, to rehearse for a few days, we play a couple shows, film the living daylights out of everything now that you've got everybody together, which gives you video footage basically for the rest of the run of the album. Because I basically had commitment from Metal Blade that, they're talking 9 months to a year to work the record. So this isn't a quickie over and done, which some of the other labels that have been mentioned in this conversation kind of do. So that was another big thing. But in all defense to all the labels, we are here doing everything we possibly can. You know, we have the 30 little video clips from interviews in the can that have been professionally edited and professionally done, and we're doing what we can do. You know, we're not just sitting back waiting for the label to do everything, because those days are gone too. So we're trying to do as much as we can to get that rolling. But that was the other thing that we really liked about Metal Blade as well. You know, the different departments, the different people that have to answer for, you know, different jobs that need to be done. And so we're ready just to push it forward, but absolutely no questions asked. It's a band. I'm dying to play. Don't tell anybody, but I've actually been rehearsing the songs. Ready to go.
So let's hit the time machine a little bit. You and Ray first started working together in Fate's Warning back on Perfect Symmetry in 1989. What do you kind of remember of, you know, you guys kind of putting that album together and working together for the first time?
Perfect Symmetry was very interesting because Jim was in LA at that point. I basically was in a little storage shed next to my rehearsal studio, working out the little parts, and we'd play things over the phone. You know, it's not make an MP3 and send it through the email. It was literally take your phone, put it up to the speaker. Me and Jim did many records like that, especially when he moved back east. It was good. I honestly didn't have a whole lot of interaction with Ray. This was kind of my first, I don't want to say real big recording, but it was, you know, you're going back east to the Carriage House. You know, Max Norman. It's like, whoa, you know, Max Norman. It's like, okay, you know, it's like you got some serious people involved in producing and engineering. And I was just kind of focused on the whole drum thing and just really having that down. But I do remember, you know, early on, the live shows were great. I remember there's a lot of power and a lot of energy. And Ray's just like a cool guy. You know, he's like the hangout guy. You know what I mean? Never really cops an attitude per se. And it was great. You know, that's why, you know, people always ask, well, you know, how was it when you left the band and blah, you know, and are you guys going to kill each other and whatever? And I was like, no, you know, it's like, that's why I had no problem calling and he picked up the phone. So no, everything was cool, you know, but, you know, we didn't have a lot of interaction in the musicality because Jim obviously was working with him on getting the vocals and that kind of thing going. And obviously the way you do it, you know, the drums are first and you kind of go that way. So, but no, I remember that very distinctly at the Carriage House. It's kind of cold. You're talking to a West Coast kind of guy, you know, but it was great. It was awesome. You know, I remember, you know, getting the drum sounds in the very beginning and how that sounded like in a big time studio and everything. And it was cool. Had a great time.
You mentioned a couple of the other projects that you were involved in throughout this interview. You had a band called Slavier that released an album in 2007, and of course Warlord. I noticed that at least on Apple Music, a kind of flood of your back catalog over there is now available through Global Rock Records. Is this something that happened recently?
The Global Rock Records or all the recordings?
Your back catalog basically being available again.
Yes, that was partially through Giles. Just kind of getting the business aspect taken care of. You know, there's a gazillion, you know, you ever seen those things like in like Modern Drummer and they interview whoever, Vinnie Colaiuta, and then there's a whole page that has all these little album that he worked on or that he recorded and stuff like that. You know, I have the same thing. The only difference is all mine you've never heard of. Okay. You know, I've done so many recordings over the years for other people. I've, you know, full albums that you know about, full albums that you don't know about, a song here, a song there. I mean, it must be up close to easily 1,000, easily. I mean, I have certain clients that I've done 24 songs for, just off the top of my head thinking, you know, I've been doing this for a lot of years, recording other people. You know, I have a service, a drum tracking service. You know, I've got the recording studio as good as it's going to get in any multi-million-dollar, you know, facility. Here's the kicker, you know, I didn't get married till I was 43. So I had all those years before to spend money on gear, you know, so it worked out. And I've got all the biggest and the best and the finest and whatever. It's all, you know, it's all about the drum sound. And if you're selling something, you want to give them that analog, big drum sound. So, yes, that was something just to kind of get that out and get things organized a little bit more, you know, through a publishing deal kind of thing. So, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff, you know, over the years, you know, probably more stuff that I forgot that, you know, that I did. I mean, it's a business, you know, you come to me, and the truth is I approach anybody's song the way I approach Fates Warning, A through Z, Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, whatever. I approach it the same way. I hear the music and I just kind of get creative and do kind of my thing. I don't boom tap it. And the thing about my service is I'll record it until you're happy. It's not like 2 takes, we're done. I am the master at the punch-in. So whatever you need, I can do it, you know, whatever. I want the people to be satisfied at the end of the day. I don't want them to go, wow, you know, it's kind of cool and it wasn't cheap and I don't know, it's okay. I want them to go, damn. Yeah. So I'll do it till you're happy.
Well, Mark, that's all I got for you today. The new album, A to Z. It's fantastic. It comes out August 12th on Metal Blade Records. Definitely one of my favorites of the year.
Awesome. I really, really, really appreciate it.